So next we have the AFC West. So consists of the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers. So for the Chiefs, they re-signed Derek Johnson and Tamba Hali, both to 3-year deals. And something interesting was Derek Johnson was their team leading tackler. So that was a big signing for them, and obviously Tamba Hali is a very key pass rusher for them.
Even though they are getting older.
Yeah, they are getting older, but they're still producing for them. You know what I mean? They franchise tagged Eric Berry, who played good for them this year. They lost Tyvon Branch to the Cardinals. Lost Sean Smith to the Raiders.
4 years, $40 million.
4 years, $40 million. Yep. And that's interesting to see. I know Marcus Peters is he's looking like he's going to be one of the best cornerbacks of his class, clearly, and maybe he could be like a Darrelle Revis or something. Like, he's shaping up to be extremely, extremely good for them. I don't know who picks up after him. You know
exactly,
what I mean?
that's the problem. You know, he was covering the number 2s the entire season. The only time he really covered a true number 1.
Well, Sean Smith was injured for a little bit.
I know,
during the playoffs, he was really he shut down Demaryius Thomas, so he can do it. It's just who picks up the number 2.
Hopkins. You mean?
Oh yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. Sorry.
Yeah.
And he didn't do too bad against him.
Exactly. He was the only number 1 receiver he really truly versed all year. So we'll see how he should shut him down. So we'll see how he can transition from being the guy that just gets the second best receiver on the team, not really a lot of pressure on him, and he did extremely well in that position, to a guy that has to be the focal point of your defense.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that you have to find out your second cornerback to cover the number 2. You don't have that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also, another news, they made Travis Kelce the second highest paid tight end in the NFL. They signed, which I think is going to be huge for them, especially in their already great run game, if Jamal Charles could finally stay healthy, is they signed right tackle Mitchell Schwartz to a 5-year deal from the Browns.
It was really good.
Yeah, I think that's a really big under-the-radar signing.
Yeah, which was really big. Really important. And not a lot of people have made a lot of news about that signing. I think it's because a lot of people don't know of him. So he is a very, very key player. He was
Pro Football Focus's number 1 rated right tackle in the league last year.
Yeah, he performed really good. That Browns offensive line with Alex Mack and Joe Thomas.
That was their best position group.
Shorts and Tony. Yeah, they have a really good line. I mean,
not anymore.
Granted, it broke up a lot in this offseason. They lost probably their first and third best players, but anyway, and they released Ben Grubbs, which was, I believe, their left guard.
Left guard, I think.
Yeah, and that's all that the Chiefs really had. There was a lot of big things, but nothing too crazy. The Broncos lost Brock Osweiler, which I think is going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out. I think he got overpaid beyond being overpaid.
Oh, yeah.
They re-signed...
Overpaid's an overstatement.
Yeah. They re-signed Derek Wolfe. They franchise tagged Von Miller. Peyton Manning retired. C.J. Anderson went to the Dolphins, so that's going to be interesting to see how that goes on.
But I still feel like Ronnie Hillman's better than him, so I would...
Ronnie Hillman's a free agent.
I know, that's why they have to...
You think Ronnie Hillman's better than C.J. Anderson?
He was starting over him during the season. The thing with C.J. Anderson was...
Not towards the end, though.
Yeah, towards the end, C.J. Anderson picked it up, but Ronnie Hillman was a very good fantasy option first 8 games, and I just want to see him excel in the first... the number 1 back role, and I think that they have to make it a priority to re-sign him.
Yeah, because do you guys know who they have after those two?
After them.
I know it was Monte Ball, but he's gone.
I don't think there's anybody.
Yeah, I don't know who the other guy is, so they need a running back just as bad as they need a quarterback. They lost Danny Trevathan, who was their huge middle linebacker for them, and Brandon Marshall, who was also a very good their other middle linebacker is currently a free agent, so they need to definitely try to get on board with him. They released Owen Daniels, so they really don't have a tight end right now because Vernon Davis is their other option. And they released Luis Vasquez, who I believe 2 years ago was a Pro Bowl guard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like the Broncos lost a lot in free agency and didn't gain much at all.
They did, but I do think it was a good job by them to not overpay on the 2 key guys. Danny Trevathan and Brock Osweiler.
Danny Trevathan, I don't think got overpaid. He was huge. If you look up his stats,
yeah, he was definitely one of the best inside linebackers.
That was a big, but I think it was a great job by the Broncos to not overpay on Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, but aside from Brock Osweiler, I feel like they lost.
But I mean, they had money to spend, and like what else? And they don't have many needs, so I feel like they could have overspent on Brock Osweiler if they really.
Even if they didn't, they should have at least tried to get Danny Trevathan back.
Yeah.
If they didn't want Brock for that.
Yeah, that was a huge loss.
Next is the Chargers, who signed Travis Benjamin, who I think is going to go nuts, especially in a PPR league in fantasy this year.
A great pickup.
He's going to be huge for fantasy and obviously for the Chargers.
I would take him like 4th or 5th round. I would take him that
high. 4th or 5th round?
I would take him that high.
I gotta see all the options, but I honestly might too. I gotta see.
If it's a PPR, I mean, maybe not.
In a PPR, you might take him 5th round. I can see.
I mean, he's not even the #1 receiver there though.
I know, but in a PP, all he does is run those slants, those drags, those digs.
He's going to be like the Golden Tate of
he's
Calvin Johnson.
Eat up receptions, especially when Keenan Allen and Antonio Gates are both injury prone, and so is Malcolm Floyd. So
Malcolm Floyd retired, I think, didn't he?
Oh, he did?
I think so.
I had no idea.
I'm not positive.
I'll look it up. Go ahead. But in other news, the Chargers also re-signed Antonio Gates to a 2-year deal, $6 million each year, and. He said that, an interesting fact about that is somebody said that he's going to retire as a Charger, which is obviously expected, but expect a retirement from Antonio Gates in these upcoming years.
Yeah, Malcolm Floyd did retire.
He did retire? Okay. They signed Brandon Mabin, so they finally got somebody on the defensive line. He's a defensive tackle from the Seahawks, signed him to a 3-year deal. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays. He's a run-stuffing defensive tackle. And finally they released Donald Brown, their running back, and Donald Butler, their linebacker, who played horrible this year.
Remember when we thought that Donald Brown was gonna start for them? Like we thought that he was gonna be a little bit of a fantasy option. He went down to like 4th in the depth chart. That was just terrible.
Yep.
Yeah, the Chargers running backs are always a little iffy. You know what I mean?
Besides Danny Woodhead, but he's only good
besides Danny, but he's only good for like a PPR really.
Yeah, he's not really a runner. He's more of like a scat back.
Yeah. The Raiders signed Sean Smith from the Chiefs, as we spoke about earlier. Got Bruce Irvin from the Seahawks, so that was huge because the duo of Khalil Mack and Bruce Irvin is gonna be insane. It's gonna be crazy. I don't even want to.
The matchup that they can do with that is going to be like they also have Malcolm Smith, so it could be Malcolm Smith, Bruce Irvin, and then Khalil Mack on the D line. Then it could be Bruce Irvin, Khalil Mack, and then it could be Bruce Irvin, Khalil Mack on one side, and then Malcolm Smith on the D line. It's going to be insane with the way that they can like do this.
And they also re-signed. I honestly don't know how to say this.
It's Asmele.
They signed him from the Ravens, and he was a really, really good guard. Probably one of the best guards currently. And it was a huge, huge loss for the Ravens that they lost him.
He was a great guard.
He was huge. And he got paid, what is he, like the highest paid guard?
I think he's one of the highest paid guards. Yeah, I don't know if ever just a season.
No, just this season we're talking. He's very, very high paid. Yeah. And then Justin Tuck retired. So it's going to be there. I think overall the Raiders did phenomenal in free agency, and it's still not done yet. But you got to think about it. This team's going to think about them for the future. Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper, Derek Carr, Bruce Irvin, Latavius Murray, Sean Smith, who am I thinking? I'm missing Marcel Reese, this Asmele guy, something.
Their O-line's good too. If they can re-sign Donald Penn, then
they said they're not getting him. That's why they got this guy.
But if they did that, their offensive line would have been like solid.
I think what they said is Asmele something.
We gotta come up with a name for him. It's just not what his actual name is.
I think they plan on maybe playing him instead of guard. They plan on starting him at tackle. I saw.
They could do anything with him. He's really, really good. And that's it for the AFC West. And now we're gonna be moving on to the AFC South.